Hey guys, DJ here from GameTime Michigan, and the time it's currently 3 in the morning on Tuesday, May 7th, as I'm making this video. And something's been keeping me up at night lately, something that is keeping me from sleeping. So I figured I had to make a video on it. So I ran over, and here I am. And what's the topic of discussion for today is going to be Pokemon and the state of the Pokemon market. So anybody that's been paying attention knows exactly what I'm talking about. The last couple of months have been absolutely crazy as far as Pokemon and their card values go. The last few months, you look at Evolving Skies. That's kind of where it all started, right? You get into Evolving Skies, and then the slightly older, like modern vintage cards. All the sealed product on those and the singles have started going up. A couple of months ago, Evolving Skies was $450 booster box. It peaked at $900 a box. I had seen recent sales for. It seems like it started to come down a little bit since then, but it's still fairly high. You've seen singles from that era, the Moonbreons and the other Chase Evolutions. They've started to creep up in value. A couple months ago, you could get a raw Moonbreon for $500, give or take, and now you're looking at like $700-800 range on a raw one, and PSA 10 ones are up to like right around between $1,200 and $1,400 from what I've been seeing for recent sales, whereas they were under $1,000, a couple of months ago. And to make things more interesting, in the last couple of weeks, we've really seen the other more recent products move. So if you've been following Lost Origin is a very good one to talk about. If you've been following Lost Origin, in just the last few weeks, it seems like everywhere has sold out of Lost Origin. You can't even find it on the Pokemon Center right now. And sealed product for that, sealed booster boxes for that have went from like $130, $140 a box to the most recent sale at the time of this video on eBay is $225 on a booster box. And of course, when the sealed product goes up, you get your singles going up too. Giratina used to be a card, just depending on condition and everything, right? Like you'd find it for right around $200 to like $250. Couple of days ago, I saw a recent sale for $490. You're seeing several sales in the like $350 to $450 range on the Chase Giratina, and it doesn't stop there. Lost Origin specifically, you have your Aerodactyl card. Your Chase Aerodactyl. That one is going up in price too, right? We were like 80-ish, 70, 80. And now we're approaching 120 on raw, which is insane. In a couple of weeks, that's like 50% increase. And it does not stop with Lost Origin. You see your Chase cards and your alternate arts increasing across the board. You go to Fusion Strike and you look at your Chase Gengar. You used to be able to get PSA 10s of those for, I remember seeing PSA 10s of those go for like $380 2 months ago, something like that. And now I've seen them going for $550, $600 on PSA 10s. Your raw Gengars are going up too in price from Fusion Strike. I've seen the Astral Radiance Machamp has started to move. Your Silver Tempest Chase Lugia is up like $20-30. I'm seeing it right around like $180 to $200 right now, as far as sale prices go. Whereas, not too far back in time, you'd have been able to get it for like $130 to $150. And that's not all. Paldea Evolved even, right? The more and more modern stuff. Paldea Evolved's been around since, June of last year? It's been about a year. The Magikarp. That Magikarp went from like $80 to $130 overnight. The raw Magikarp. Not even a graded one, a raw one. And you're seeing a lot of the special, not even the special illustration, just like the alternate art cards, just go up and up and up, and it's got everybody questioning, like, hey, what's going on? Why is this happening? And it's good if you're a collector and you have these cards, but you still want to take a second and pause and try to figure out, like, why is this happening? What's going on? Because is this a long-term thing, or are markets being manipulated, or is this just like a temporary boom? And I think the answer, I don't know if anybody really has the answer yet. I think there's got to be a little bit of market manipulation going on, but I think a lot of it in general is, we're coming out of the winter time, and people just they're starting to get back into collecting Pokemon again. You have people with their tax returns. You get a lot of fear of missing out with it, FOMO, right? They see these cards, they look cool, they see the price, they want to grab one, and when the price starts to run and the product goes off the shelves and you can't find it anymore, then it's like, oh crap, I better get these cards before I can't get them anymore, before they go up in price, which in turn, you increase your demand without increasing supply, the price goes up on that, right? So I think that's a very, I think that's really happening. I think people are preparing for the 30th anniversary. We're like, 2 years away from that now. So people are starting to prepare for that. And I think you're just seeing a whole new generation of Pokemon collectors, come of age, right? The people that were kids in like the 2010s, now they're adults to the point to where they have jobs and have some disposable income, and they want to get, some of their favorite cards, right? You got to remember, a card that came out in 2019 or 2018, that's like 5 or 6 years old at this point. So if you were like 14, 15 years old and collected back then, now you're about 20. So, you have a job, you have more income, and you want to get it on your favorite hobby. So I think we're beginning to see a little bit of a, another boom here. And I mean, in store, at my store here, when I'm talking to all, because I talk to collectors every day that come in with Pokemon, and we all, we're all trying to figure this out too, right? Because I've been around Pokemon since the very first set, since base set. So I collect, I have a collection, and we're all just trying to figure out, right, like, what's going on? Is this real? Is this here to stay? And the people that I talk to, we're all kind of in the same sentiment with things. We all kind of think that, at least in the short, this is probably going to continue for at least a couple of years, right? We all kind of think it's going to run through at least through the 30th anniversary. But this is, it's definitely, it's something that's very, very interesting, and it creates a lot of opportunity, right? Because even as little as 2 weeks ago, you would have been able to get a Giratina for like $250, and now you're talking like probably $350 you could sell it for. So that's not a bad ROI. So you're having this game now where it's just everybody's trying to predict what the next big card to spike is, right? I had a couple of weeks ago, I had a situation in my store here where a Friday night, like midnight on Friday night, I priced the Paldea Evolved Magikarp, and comps on that were right around $80. So I had priced it at 80, tossed it in the showcase, and I opened up on Saturday, and it sold pretty quick on Saturday. And at the end of the day, I go through looking at recent sales because I was kind of curious where it was at. And there were several recent sales on eBay, like 12 hours later that were, in the 110 to 130 range on the Paldea Evolved Magikarp. So, and that was just a raw one. So that's, that's an example of how quick the price can flip on some of these cards. And, I'm seeing it with the cards that I have in the case, too. There's a lot of cards. Another big one that seems like it's going up every day a little bit is your Chase Mew out of Paldean Fates, right? I think the one exception to this is we've seen some of the chase cards in Temporal Forces kind of cool off a little bit outside of Morty's Conviction. Morty's Conviction seems like that's just kind of, running up and up in price, but we've seen some of the other ones like the Iron Crown and those ones have they've cooled off a bit. And I think that's kind of normal. That's for the most part, that's what we see in new sets is we see the price kind of go down for a bit and then it'll start increasing again. But I think if you're looking to get in, those are reasonable spots to get in because you're seeing those prices come down, whereas all the cards from like a year or two ago, they're starting to go up, right? So will Temporal Forces, will that suffer the same fate as these, like Lost Origin? I think so. I don't think the Temporal Forces cards are necessarily as sought after or as nostalgic as, like say the Gengar, right? Or like the awesome Lost Origin Giratina. But there's still a lot of value there. It's a rare card, and you have to remember Pokemon Company kind of cut down on their print run for Temporal Forces. So while it's being open now, who's to say how much is going to be available in a year or two, right? And that's kind of going forward, right? We'll see that with Twilight Masquerade. We'll see less product out on the market too. So I think those are, in the short term, I think those are good points to look at. And then I think if you're looking at holding cards, I don't think it's a bad idea to start kind of, trying to pick up some of these cards that are going up in price. Because it's hard to imagine, at least, there's several iconic ones. It's hard to imagine them really coming down very much at this point, right? There's no more Lost Origin in print. And I don't think they're going to do a reprint of it. So it's something that it's very interesting, right? Like where is this Giratina going to be at in a couple of years, right? You see the graded ones, the PSA 10 ones. Used to be able to like 600 or so, 500, 600 used to be a PSA 10. And now you're talking. I remember I saw a recent sale yesterday for I think it was over 900 on eBay for that for PSA 10. You're also seeing just all like the cards from like the 2010 era. Team Up's been a big one like the last 4 to 6 months. That one has really went up in price. You're not really seeing a lot of cooling off. You're seeing the most recent set, right? That's kind of cooling off a little bit, but even Paldean Fates is holding its value. 151 has been very strong as a set. You don't have many sets in recent history that aren't reasonably strong right now, right? Scarlet Violet base set being one of the outliers. There really isn't a ton of value in that one right now for whatever reason. It's a large set, but I think they printed a lot of it too. So, and it's not that sought after. But is that something is that going to change at some point? And you have to remember Scarlet Violet as well. That's the base set of the Scarlet Violet era. So that's like your anchor set. Maybe there will be some value there in the future. I think too, a lot of these recent grading controversies, you think that they would hurt things overall, but it doesn't seem like they have. It's still full steam ahead no matter what's going on, right? Excuse me. You've got this, the card cleaning and card care drama that's going on with the grading companies right now. PSA is finally taking action on that. So that's nice to see. I think that artificially inflates the 10s in the market a little bit. So it's nice to see them kind of cracking down on that. And then, yeah, even with everything going on, you still see things kind of going full steam ahead. And with the 30th anniversary coming up, you wonder where it's going to stop. And just my general sentiment from speaking to Pokemon collectors every day, and like my perspective as being a card store owner that the most popular game in my store is Pokemon, right? I get a lot of collectors in. I don't see any signs of this cooling off whatsoever. I think that this is going to run through well into the summer, and I see it getting through at least Christmas time, and then kind of going from there. But I do think it's fueled a little bit by FOMO, but where is this going to stop? I'm hearing more and more new people getting into Pokemon collecting. You've got like more shows popping up, so people are going to the shows. More people just trading and selling online. Whatnot's been a big thing. Those kind of the online platforms to help facilitate it all. And at the end of the day, there's only so many of these cards printed. So the more and more people that get into the hobby, it'll be more demand, right? And the supply isn't changing, especially on these old cards. So I think, going forward in the coming years, especially the pre-COVID cards, and then if you go really way into vintage, like early to mid 2000 cards, the premiums on those, like they're never going anywhere but up, right? They're so hard to get. There's so few of them. In general, I'm pretty bullish on Pokemon in general. I think my stance would be I'd be a little wary of some of the most recent stuff. But outside of that, everything is just going up in value, and it's one of those things where like you can almost just kind of close your eyes and blindly throw money at it, and it's going to be worth more in 3 months time than you spent on it, right? And like I said, I'm seeing that in my showcase too. Every week or two, there's several cards in the case that I have to pull out and reprice, and most of them were repricing upwards in price, right? For every 3 cards we price up, we might have to lower the price on one of them, on one card. So I think Pokemon's great to get into. I think the market overall, I don't think this is the peak. I think there's a lot of room for it to grow, and I think overall we're probably going to see pretty solid growth through at least the most of this year. And my personal opinion is I think it's going to run through the 30th anniversary. So I think in general, if there's one of the chase cards you're looking for, or you kind of want to get into collecting, it's better to get into it sooner rather than later, because the cards you want today and we're thinking about buying today, tomorrow it's going to cost you an extra 10%, right? So that's about all I have to say on that topic. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.